Welcome to another insightful video from the Manager's Mindset on individual development and productivity improvement. Today, we are confronting a painful truth that many high-performing professionals never realize until it is too late. The very skills that make you successful may now be the reason you are stuck. Not because you are incapable, not because you lack intelligence, but because excellence in execution can quietly become a prison. In today's world, the workplace has changed dramatically. Artificial intelligence is automating technical tasks. Organizations are flattening out structures. And decision-making speed is now valued more than operational perfection, which means the people who rise today are no longer simply the smartest operators in the room. They are the people who influence direction, shape strategy, command attention, and make high-level decisions under uncertainty. Today, we are talking about the invisible ceiling, why your technical excellence is now your greatest barrier. You've spent years becoming the smartest person in the room, but that's exactly why you aren't being promoted. Your technical excellence has become a comfortable cage that signals you're too valuable to move into leadership. It is time to stop executing and start leading before your excellence, before your expertise permanently stalls your career. What if the hard skills that built your career are now the very thing sabotaging your future? Every hour you spend perfecting details is an hour you lose in strategic influence and executive presence. If you don't shatter this invisible ceiling now, you will remain the high performer who gets managed, not the leader who decides. And here is the uncomfortable truth. Today, being the best at your job is no longer enough to reach the C-suite. In fact, it may now be your greatest liability. Because operational mastery often kills organizational authority. Let's begin with something most professionals never recognize. The better you become at execution, the harder it becomes for people to imagine you doing anything else. You become the fixer, the dependable operator, the person everyone calls when things break. At first, this feels rewarding. People praise you. Managers rely on you. Your reputation grows. But eventually, something dangerous happens. You start being seen as leadership material. Because organizations often promote people they can afford to lose operationally. And if you're carrying too much technical value, leadership may unconsciously see you as too essential to move. That is the efficiency paradox. Your competence traps you. Technical professionals often find emotional safety in execution. Why? Because execution feels measurable, predictable, controllable. You know how to solve the problem. You know how to optimize the process. You know how to fix the system. But leadership lives in uncertainty. Leadership asks questions with no guaranteed answers. Why are we moving in this direction? What market are we missing? What risk are we ignoring? What future are we preparing for? And many technical, brilliant professionals avoid these conversations because they cannot be solved with precision alone. In the age of AI, operational knowledge is becoming increasingly democratized. The advantage is no longer merely knowing information. The advantage today is strategic judgment, influence, vision, communication, and leadership presence. AI can automate tasks, but it cannot fully replace strategic foresight, emotional intelligence, or executive presence. That is why many technical, exceptional professionals are beginning to feel invisible in leadership conversations. You know, your expertise has become a cage when you are always consulted but rarely promoted. You solve problems but are excluded from strategic decisions. You are respected technically but ignored organizationally. At that point, your professional identity is no longer evolving. It is repeating itself. One of the biggest transformations in leadership is learning the difference between output and outcomes. Technical professionals focus heavily on output, completed tasks, delivered projects, solved problems, optimized systems. Executives focus on outcomes, revenue growth, market positioning, organizational influence, long-term scalability, and this is where many careers stall. Many technical experts believe data speaks for itself. It does not. Data without narrative is noise. Executives are looking for more information. They are looking for meaning. The real skill is not collecting data. The real skill is translating complexity into strategic clarity. Instead of saying, here are the metrics, start saying, here is what these metrics mean for the future of the business. That shift alone changes how people perceive your value. Most technical minds are trained to solve existing issues. Leadership requires identifying future opportunities before others see them. A leader asks, what trend is emerging? What market gaps exist? What problems will matter 3 years from now? Because the people who rise are not mere problem solvers. They are opportunity architects. Now, let's discuss one of the most misunderstood concepts in leadership: executive presence. Executive presence is not arrogance. It is not expensive suits. It is not sounding important. Executive presence is the ability to create confidence in your judgment before you even finish speaking. Many technical professionals rely heavily on spreadsheets, technical jargons, detailed presentations. But executives communicate differently. They simplify complexity. They communicate priorities, consequences, decisions, direction. Because leadership's communication is not about showing how much you know. It is about helping others see clearly. One of the biggest career accelerators is learning high-level brevity. Senior leaders do not want 45 minutes explanation. They want the core issue, the business implication, the strategic recommendation, and the next decision. The higher you rise, the shorter your communication must become, because clarity becomes the new intelligence. Technical professionals are rewarded for minimizing mistakes. Executives are rewarded for making decisions despite uncertainty. Leadership often requires incomplete information, time pressure, conflicting priorities, political consequences. At some point, your advancement depends less on how deeply you analyze and more on whether people trust your judgment. One of the greatest traps high performance fall into is the hero complex. You believe nobody can do it like you. Nobody can meet your standards. And you keep doing everything yourself. And unknowingly, you sabotage your leadership growth. Delegation is not weakness. Delegation creates space for strategic thinking. If your entire week is consumed by operational execution, you will never develop strategic foresight, executive influence, leadership growth. You cannot think about the future while drowning in maintenance work. Real leadership builds systems that function beyond their personal involvement. That means developing people, empowering teams, building scalable trust. If everything collapses whenever you step away, you are not leading. You are centralizing dependency. And dependency is not leadership. Transitioning from technical expert into strategic leader requires identity change. And identity change is painful because you are moving from certainty to ambiguity, from mastery to vulnerability, from expertise to influence. Look carefully at your weekly schedule. How much time is spent maintaining systems, solving operational problems, handling repetitive execution. Now ask yourself, how much time is invested in leadership development, strategic networking, executive communication, future-oriented thinking? Your calendar reveals your true professional identity. One of the fastest ways to reposition yourself is to solve problems outside your technical lane. Identify a business issue nobody owns clearly. customer retention, workflow bottlenecks, market expansion, communication breakdowns. Then step into that space, because leadership visibility grows where your influence expands beyond your technical specialty. And finally, you must become comfortable being a beginner again. You spent years becoming a master practitioner. Now leadership demands that you become a novice again. You will feel uncomfortable speaking strategically, influencing executives, navigating politics, leading ambiguity, but growth always begins where mastery ends. The invisible ceiling is rarely created by others alone. Often, we build it ourselves. We become addicted to competence, attached to execution, comfortable in technical superiority. And slowly, without realizing it, we trade influence for familiarity. But the future belongs to those who evolve beyond execution. The future belongs to those who think strategically, communicate clearly, influence consistently, delegate effectively, and lead courageously. Your technical expertise got you into the room, but executive presence determines whether you lead the room. So the real question is no longer, how good are you at the work? The real question is, can you shape the direction of the organization itself? Because the next level of your career does not require more technical expertise. It requires transformation. If this video challenged your perspective, make sure you like, subscribe, and share it with professionals who may unknowingly be trapped by their own expertise. This is the manager's mindset, where we transform high performance into strategic leaders. And remember, your greatest barrier may no longer be your weakness. It may be the strength you refused to evolve beyond. Thank you for watching.